I was born in 1940 at St. John's Hospital on the east side of St. Paul, Minnesota. We lived in a second-floor apartment of an older home on Arkwright Street. I, my parents, and my older brother. My father's sister and her husband, my aunt and uncle, and their 2 children occupied the first floor. In 1942, my parents purchased the home of my mother's grandparents on Churchill Road in Somerset. I began school at St. Anne's in 1946 in the first grade. There was no kindergarten at that time. The first school at St. Anne's was built in 1890 and consisted of 2 rooms to serve 40 students. By the 1900s, there were 100+ students and no accommodations for the sisters who would teach them. The sisters had been living in the same frame building as the school, which stood on the forepart of the present cemetery. They needed quarters of their own. In 1907, the parish decided to build a new school to accommodate the increase in students and to serve as mother house for the sisters. A site was chosen in the northeast corner of their property, and a 3-story building was built with its own chapel, 6 classrooms, and living quarters for the sisters on the 3rd floor. The sisters of the school lived very miserly on the 3rd floor of the school and ate their meals in the basement where the cafeteria was located. The sisters lived there until a convent was built for them in 1920. These past 2 paragraphs were taken from the Triple Centennial Jubilee book dated 1956. The first floor of the school contained the 1st and 2nd grades, plus 2 music rooms and a lovely chapel. Mass was said there daily, and we attended in a group on feast days and holy days. Since we had to fast until after we received communion during Mass, we retreated to a breakfast of chocolate milk and raised glazed donuts after Mass. 2nd floor served 3rd and 4th grades in one room and 5th and 6th grades in the other room. The 3rd floor had a room for 7th and 8th grades and a large open room which served as a meeting, general-purpose room where we played games or read books to pass the time. During bad weather, because we were not allowed to go outdoors, the room also allowed for whole school movies and lyceum programs, which we all enjoyed. The lunchroom was in a basement as well as the restrooms for 1st and 2nd grades. The other floors had restrooms as well. As I said, I began school in 1946, and my first impression of the school was that it was so clean and orderly. The floors were highly polished, and our classroom was large with such beautiful pictures and drawings on the walls. We had to line up 2 by 2 to go into school after recess and after visiting the restrooms in the basement. This we did at any time that we ventured out of the classroom, and it seemed so formal. But it was all good until we became familiar with the rules, and we were told we had to be silent anytime we're in line. We also helped keep the floors looking so fine as we had to walk on wool pads during school on bad weather days. We walked to and from school in summer and in winter. As we lived just 1/2 mile from St. Anne's Church and school, and not able to ride the buses unless we lived more than a mile from school. On warm days, we joined a group of students who lived farther north but who chose to walk home. We had great times walking with those our own age, also with the older students, who seemed so experienced and confident. Great friendships were formed, some lasting for a lifetime. We were taught by nuns from the Order of St. Joseph from Crookston, Minnesota. Several of them were relatives of our family or had taught at St. Anne's for some time. We knew them well. They were excellent teachers and were so helpful to the parish. We had exciting times at our recesses with a huge swing that swung out over the edge of the embankment above the river, and many smaller swings and a merry-go-round. We had something called the Giants, consisting of a tall pole with handles on long chains hanging from the top of the pole. We ran and hung from the handles to get a short, sweet flight while spinning around from the center pole. We soon learned that by grabbing a handle and backing up one child across several others, we could run fast to propel this one person up very high and very fast, giving them a super ride. Somehow, the big swing and the Giants were gone soon after that. Other activities were sledding in the winter on one very high hill next to the school building. We brought our own sleds to school, or sometimes just jumped on in our snowsuits and flew down the hill, oftentimes to crash into others at the bottom of the hill. We also brought pieces of cardboard to slide on, and this worked until it ripped and fell apart. This was also hard on snowsuits, and our mothers complained about having to mend them before we went to school the next day. This school served until the early 1960s, when plans began for a new school across the highway from St. Anne's Church. Groundbreaking was held on June 24, 1956. These plans called for an 8-room school with a gymnasium/cafeteria combined, locker rooms and restrooms, and space for offices and storage. St. Anne's has provided schooling and excellent teachers from the 1800s until today.